Oh,
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I'm pumped.
Whew.
Shouldn't jump into Vive though.
Hold on here.
Okay. Do you remember the format? You remember the format? Game, right?
Yep. Turn off my phone. Make sure I don't have anything there. Yep.
I can't hear you guys.
You can't hear me? It's
You
when we're
can't hear me?
closer.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear us? You might be in the dead zone.
No, my audio went dead for. And
I ran into the wall.
Did you run in the wall?
Adover. Adobe VR.
Adobe VR?
Yeah,
Like-
ADOVR.
Ah.
Adover or Adobe VR.
Dover. A Dover. Okay. All right. I got this. All right. Here we go. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Do you live in a city in Delaware? Would you like your own VR experience where you can experience you can visualize, and it's all going to be 360 video and pictures, so people will complain that it might not be real VR. It's all about Dover, Delaware, and only you can make it happen by giving us money. We're doing an Indiegogo campaign, and we're not even good enough for Kickstarter. Indiegogo, okay, all right, and yeah, so. That's all I got. I got nothing.
All right, thank you
That's
very
terrible.
much.
That's terrible.
Man, that is a company I do not want to invest in. That is for damn sure.
No.
Maybe the Dover Tourism Board would be like super onto that, but
You know, somebody in Dover right now is watching this going, oh, that's brilliant. Yes.
hashtag Dover VR.
That's right.
ADOVR.
Yeah.
Get a hold of everyone. Make us some money. We're gonna get that one going. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be at least 50 people live in Dover. I mean, come on, that's
Isn't that
enough,
where
right?
President George Washington was from. I mean, it's a historic place. We could do something with that. I don't know.
Beautiful, love it. Ship it.
Ship it.
Okay. Last one. Let's bring it.
All right. How about okay? All right. VR ever, forever.
VR ever,
Ooh.
forever.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
It's probably taken.
I know. Somebody check GoDaddy right now. Let's do this.
All right, you ready? You ready, Eugene?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1, action.
Like so many people in this room, I have lost people in my life, and that is just terrible. But with our new product, VR Forever, you can now visit all of your dead relatives in VR as they are actually deteriorating.
Yes,
So
that's what I wanted.
So I can visit all of my ancestors in their skeleton form as we speak.
I mean,
Day of the Dead? No more. You now have a VR product to replace all of it. Halloween? Psh, go and have a family reunion. Perfect. VR Forever. Our our hotlines are standing by. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-4DEVER.
Oh, look at you.
Howdy dabs.
VR Dam! Oh, man. So I feel like all it is a 360 camera in a casket with with night vision. I would buy that, actually.
Hey,
Check on your loved ones.
Yeah.
just want to
Oh,
see
my
how
God.
Nanny's doing.
Oh, man.
I
love
So
it.
that's basically like a 360 nanny cam at the funeral, just like getting lowered in the casket. Oh man,
like
this got dark.
I want this. I want one. I want
Hey, this
two.
sounds like a Halloween experience of the making.
Hey, if I order one now, will you send me another one absolutely free if I pay separate shipping and handling?
Of course, that's how it works.
Yeah. It's basically a Gear VR with an unlimited battery source for the afterlife.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah. Should we
Cool.
go back to the board? Check out the comments.
Yeah, let's go check 'em out.
Sure.
Here, I feel like this one isn't getting enough love, so I'm just
Okay,
gonna be
Eugene.
over here.
You go
Oh,
for it
okay.
and,
No song, hi, regard, merha,
Merhaba.
Is that something?
doodab.
Eric Newman says doob dab.
Doob dab.
Wonder if nice.
This is what Battlestar Galactica is about. Okay.
At Emily Byrne. Nice.
Digging it.
I like it. Okay, so let's go back to the interview. Now that we have you here, we can ask you basically anything. And before we open you up to the audience for questions, and you guys will be able to ask him whatever you guys want within reason, but he'll probably still answer it because he's awesome like that.
Yeah, I am.
I haven't actually gotten to ask any questions yet, though.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Bring it on, Topher.
So my interest is because I'm a budding influencer. What's the best thing about being an influencer in the VR space versus like other spaces like social media and stuff? But like, what's the best thing to you?
For me, I don't actually like the word influencer. It's a lot of people get a big kick out of like, oh, everybody recognizes you. But I like to be anonymous. I like to go into social media stuff and not tell people who I am because I feel like I don't get a genuine response and have a good interaction with people. So I like to play incognito.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. But no, it's been very fulfilling. I mean, I've had some really good conversations with some really smart and really, prominent people. I mean, when I'm sitting there in front of Facebook Messenger and I'm going back and forth with people like, Homer Lucky or Tony Parisi or, the wonderful people at High Fidelity. I mean, it just ends up being I have people I can contact when I need help or I need information or I need free Steam keys. If you're out there, send free Steam keys. Those are the kind of things that I like to do. And then, I don't do streams as much anymore. But when I was doing the streams, I felt like I was doing the community a service by, trying things out. And then if I don't vomit, I recommend it to you. So it kind of works out like that. Yeah.
I always thought it'd be kind of cool, like being able to get access to the people you'd love to have conversations with, and being able to like at least be able to initiate a conversation and get a response is probably just a great thing. I would imagine
it really it brings the whole the whole VR community is just so amazing. Even the people who in other industries would be considered, famous. Famous. I can't do air quotes. We need to add that air quote. There really isn't anybody famous because everybody knows each other and everybody talks to each other. And even in a platform like this, I mean, there's a guy sitting out there in the audience and he could be, anybody right now. We have no idea. It could be John Carmack, but, hopefully he's doing something more important than watching this. But, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first time you ever encountered VR. Like, what did that feel like? Can you tell that story?
Wow. Let's see. It was 1996. I was at Epcot Center in Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And they had virtuality rigs like you see in the movie Hackers, and of course I had to pull out a Hackers reference at least once in every show. And I played Dactyl Nightmare, and it cost me $20 for 8 minutes. And I'll tell you, it was. I have a picture of me in it, and it was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. It totally changed my world, and that was the first time I had done VR. Yeah.
Come on.
So what was the actual decision to go from software development to VR? Like, where did that actual conscious choice happen?
It's funny. I didn't actually do it that way. I got into VR first, then became, it's kind of hard to explain. So I kind of made the Reverend Kyle moniker came from me doing, I was doing Android hacking and Android ROMs for different tablets and phones and things like that. And I was actually the very first person to ever have a rooted Amazon Kindle Fire HD. I rooted it first and then shared that with the world. When rooting and stuff like that for Android got boring, I was looking for my next big thing, and somebody had sent me a link to the DK1 Kickstarter, and I got into VR because of that. I became a software developer because I wanted to make VR content, not the other way around, which is kind of what normally people say the opposite.
Nice.
Okay. And how long did it take before your entry into doing tutorials to an actual audience? Like, what was that process like?
Wow. It's funny. I started doing the tutorials on YouTube for Android phones because I was looking for ones for a specific phone and I couldn't find it. And so I thought, well, there's got to be other people out there in the world. I saw a demand, I saw a need, and so I did it. And then next thing I know, I wake up one morning and holy moly, the thing's got 100,000 views. And people are asking me, can you do it on this one? Can you do it on this one? I started buying devices and doing other tutorials, and a couple million hits later, I feel like I was pretty successful at it.
Yeah. And then YouTube was like, hey, let's have AdSense and creators can start making money on the platform.
Yeah, money. I like money. Yeah. So for a while there, I was actually kind of raking it in a little bit. It was supplemental income. I still had my regular job. This was fun. The money was just something that made it even more fun. I never looked at it as a job, as a career. I just looked at it as a passion, something that I could do for fun and then feel fulfilled by it, by, getting something in return. Plus the fact that, the Android community was very receptive to a new person making tutorials and whatnot, helping out the lesser knowledgeable folk, I guess. So, yeah. And then all those skills and everything, it just translates perfectly into the VR community, especially in the very beginning when people had no idea what was going on and they were just looking for answers.
Right on. Okay. So how long have you been making content for online? I think you might have said that, but
I think I uploaded my first YouTube video in 2008, maybe.
Right, so you were pretty early on YouTube then.
I guess so. Yeah.
Nice. So where do you want to take the Reverend Kyle brand?
Well, I was thinking about, I've had some sponsorship requests, people who have asked if they could sponsor the podcast, and I've said no to most people. Intel sponsored me last year, which you don't really say no to Intel. But Fleshlight actually wants to do a Reverend Kyle thing, and I'm trying to get a feel from the the community. I'm trying to get a feel from the from the audience and the community at large. Do they want a Reverend Kyle Fleshlight product? I'm not really sure what it would be, but I'm open to to possibilities.
Your avatar has a really pretty mouth, so
yeah, does it? Okay, so maybe we can do that.
Just so everybody knows, this is a PG-13 show.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Kids, avert your eyes.
If you can't read it on Twitter, it won't be here.
And for the kids watching, he was saying flashlight.
Flashlight.
I'm
from the Midwest. I have an accent. So
yeah. I don't know why you want your own flashlight brand, but maybe that's the new sneaker. Maybe that's the new sneaker. I don't know.
It is,
flashlight,
man.
Flashlight, either way.
Well, I'm trying to enlighten people, so it makes perfectly good sense.
Okay, so if you could get sponsored by one company, what type of sponsorship would you want? And this can be like a circle thing.
All right.
Just to be ironic, I would want to be sponsored by NASCAR.
Why?
Well, because everybody sponsors NASCAR, so for NASCAR to sponsor somebody else would be,
gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't care. Maybe Band-Aids. Or who makes Johnson & Johnson? How about that? Yeah.
But instead of calling them Band-Aids, they'll call them patches.
I like that. Ooh. Oh, I see what you did there. Good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Topher, what about you, buddy?
Let's see. I think I'm just gonna go big. I want Google because I just want all their money and make
is that all?
Amazing. Like anything I wanted, I just want screw you money. That's the kind of sponsorship I want. I just walk in there and I just kick. I wish I could kick open the door in virtual reality, but I can't. Imagine I'm kicking open the door like whatcha, and I'm like, I want to make a VR pug simulator where you walk dogs, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Here's like $20,000. Go develop it. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do this.
Love it,
man. I really wish that Vive hadn't run out of Vive trackers so we could have Beat.
Oh, that'd be so nice. I would love to kick things, although I would probably kick out my TV. That would be a bad idea.
Yeah. So We actually put in an order. We got to like the end page, and then we just didn't get a confirmation email. And then I had to be like, "Hey, what's the deal?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we're out of stock. Like we have none in the office. We can't give you." And I was like, I have money. Take my money. Give us 5 trackers. It's not like we're trying to get them for free or anything.
I got a great like round robin question. If you could put a Vive tracker or a series of Vive trackers on anything that you could like use in VR, what would you put it on?
Okay. I got an answer. I would want to be like a crazy cat lady and have like 50 cats, all with 5 trackers attached to them. And then that way people could put on headsets and be inside the crazy cat house. And that way they would have like realistically simulated cats jumping around everywhere.
I'm so sad. That was my answer.
Was it really?
No way. Cats?
I was gonna say I wanted to put it on my dog and my cats and my snakes.
Okay, I'll be different. How about my gerbils?
There you go. Well,
I'll put them on my gerbils,
There you go.
Because if they get out, they get in the vents, I can find out where they went,
that'd be nice.
And then all of a sudden, if it shows up in the furnace, I know it's no point in trying to get it. So,
no, I think we
so light anything.
This would be kind of cool. So, like, what if we had Vive trackers and you had an experience on this stage, but you had to have it in a specific room so you could hang things off of the ceiling and they would like sway around, but you'd have to like find your way around. And every time you got hit by a swinging string with a Vive tracker, it would like lost points. It'd be like an obstacle course with like physical objects.
Nice.
Ooh. Okay, that's different.
Okay, and then I can get onto one of them and swing back and forth like Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball, and then woo!
I think I could. We're kind of doing that. There you go.
Yeah, so
pantomiming the wrecking ball. If only I had my avatar in my underwear.
Oh, hold on! I can push a button and mine will go naked. I think. Hold on.
Please don't. Please.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Call yourself there.
Okay.
PG-13. The show
as long as he has
is
underwear on. I mean, I guess it's okay. But no.
Hey, I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's all good.
Next episode.
Okay.
If we get sponsored for a Christmas episode, you should come back and be Santa.
Oh, I've actually been Santa in VR. In VR. So in another social media VR experience, we'll just call it, I don't know, VR chat. They had Santa and they had a little area and I sat down, and it was actually kind of a funny story because everybody shows up as their avatars, however they want to look. And, I'm sitting there as Santa and people are coming and sitting on my lap, and, this small, little girl avatar, little schoolgirl avatar comes and sits on my lap, and I'm like, and what would you like, little girl, for Christmas? And all of a sudden I hear this voice go, yeah, I was just wondering if I could get some Vive trackers, and I'm like, wow, VR is awesome. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I feel like VR is the ultimate gateway to fishing.
Yeah, right?
Or catfishing people.
Yeah.
I would love to see the MTV show Catfish do like a VR episode where everybody has avatars and like, no, I swear.
You said you were a dinosaur. I believed you.
Barney didn't really love me.
Too funny.
Do my arms come out of the sockets when I do this?
No, they're good. My dog actually found his way into my office and he's like jumping all over me. So
I was wondering. I thought maybe your avatar was like compressing itself into like a wormhole or something.
Right.
I'm just imploding because oh, I'm so cold, so cold. The same demon that took your soul is
yes,
my life force right now.
Damn you, Azazel. Okay.
So we should probably check the message boards.
Okay.
You guys want to check the message boards?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Man, we have so many new messages.
And they're all my Periscope. Hey, regard, Maha, Doobdad, the undead VR thing.
Of course.
CO, hey. Salam.
Oh, Doobdab.
And Merhaba. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Okay.
So we need to hit create. And hold on, I'm trying to lift. Wait, is it? Hold on.
Are you trying to lift the Q&A boxes off or the little domes off?
I am. Hold on.
I'm the king of the world.
Maybe one of the ushers can do it. Ushers.
Oh, there we go. They got them.
Cool.
If you guys have any questions, why don't you guys make your way over here to the Q&A pods and just give us a question. Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. We'll answer anything except math problems. No math problems, please.
No math problems, please.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 things I'm interested in.
Sure.
How much time per day do you all spend under the headset in VR?
On the headset. Why don't you go first?
Well, I'll be honest, it would be easier for me to tell you how much time I don't spend in the headset. So if that answers...
Okay, then go like that.
Yeah. Actually, at work, I'm working on a HoloLens project right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been... I just wear it. I go to work, I put it on, I just wear it. And I can deploy to it, over Wi-Fi, and there's no reason to take it off. I wear it into the bathroom, it's
Nice.
fine,
Cool. So,
Right on.
20 hours.
So Eugene,
You consider that you're sleeping 4 hours.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm in the VR headset probably anywhere between 2 and 3 hours a day.
Nice.
yeah, it sounds about right for me too.
Yeah. But I did check the High Fidelity log, and this month I've been in High Fidelity like 65 hours.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Well, I was
Wow.
like building everything you see.
Yeah, I know. By the way, everyone, how amazing is this stage? Eugene built this entire thing.
So the stage in itself is from a model set called Bizarro Theater, but everything like out there I custom built.
There we go. So let's give
just
Eugene a little hand there. There you go, a little.
I love
Yeah.
the
Thanks.
faces there. Okay, second question.
Go for it.
Was there like an VR or cyberspace storytelling art piece, like a novel or a movie, which inspired you to be interested in VR?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't even know where to begin.
Which was the first one? Which was like the initial one?
Okay, so the first time I saw VR, I was at the After Effects group in Seattle, Washington, which Topher actually is in charge of that group.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we got done with one of the meetings, and we went down the street like we do every single month to this place called the Dock, which is just like a complete dive bar. And there was a guy who the Gear VR had been out for like maybe 2 weeks, and he already had a test project. And he's like, Eugene, you got to put this on. So I put on the headset, and he press play, and it was I was in a field, and it was Disney's Iron Giant, and it walked over, and it like picked me up, and then started walking. All right, I'm trying to walk, trying to get the actor to walk, and like there were like deer running, and like birds were chirping and flying around, and none of the trees were really rendered right and everything. But I looked at this like as the first time seeing VR, and I was like, this is amazing. And I remember saving up 3 months, like right after that, I was like, I want to do this. And I saved up for my art directing job. I worked at a YouTube consulting company, and I quit my job 3 months later to pursue VR full time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Best decision I've ever made.
Wow. See, other than me doing it at the Epcot Center in Disney World, I would have to say there was a very special episode of Murder, She Wrote that really inspired me. Where Angela Lansbury wore a VR headset to help solve a crime. That was pretty important. I was a big fan of the book Neuromancer. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Anything by William Gibson or Bruce Sterling. I've read most of those. Yes.
I love you.
In terms of movies, anything from Johnny Mnemonic to Tron to, I mentioned Hackers earlier. I'm a big fan of that movie. I could probably list about 1,000 pieces of media
But
references.
what was like the initial one, like the very first one which stuck?
That's a toughie because I can't remember which ones I've seen first. But I would definitely say it has something. It would probably be Neuromancer if I had to pick something. In terms of, I read that book when I was in like 7th grade, and I just couldn't believe how amazing it was. Yeah.
Right on.
Super.
So mine was so I had played with an Oculus DK2 for doing some video stuff, some talks in with After Effects, since I run the After Effects group. So I got to borrow a DK1 or 2. I can't remember. I think it was a DK2, and I took it home, and it was before they had like the touch controllers, and it was the gamepad. And it's funny because like I thought it was really cool, but it wasn't there yet for me, and so about probably 9 months later, there was they had the Vive set up at the Microsoft store, and I went and I played Space Pirate Trainer, and I had never played Room Scale VR like really yet. And I played Space Pirate Trainer, and it just blew my mind. I bought my Vive right then, and I spent so much time inside of it. It's insane.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for asking your question.
Good questions.
Next person, if you could tell us your name and maybe even where you're from.
I'm Los Angeles Graph. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm thinking like the question I guess I should ask that I've been noticing a lot is it for each one of you, is it Vive or is it Oculus? I mean, also Gear, but between the two, I'd probably think Vive or Oculus.
I'm Vive, pretty much all the way so far.
I'm platform agnostic.
Oh.
Yeah, actually that was my exact answer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're on a desert island, you pick one. You're on a desert island, you pick one.
Do I get Revive?
You get ultimate blood level.
Okay. HCC Vive with Revive, so I can play the Unspoken.
Boom.
Because that's my jam.
I'm in a Rift right now.
But
well, I do most of my VR personally, my personal stuff in my, because right now I have one room in the bottom lower level of my house. I call it the VR dungeon, and it's got lighthouses up in the corners, and I've got a 3-camera tracking system for the Rift. I mean, I'm fully room scale. Yeah, I feel like I could do either one. They're both chilling right here, and then I've got some other headsets too, and I've owned every version of the Gear VR.
So it's Vive. It's Vive.
And you call it your VR dungeon?
My VR dungeon, but I'm mostly in the Rift. I'm mostly in the Rift,
right.
yeah.
I don't know why, but I can see like you hitting a button and like all the panels like flip around and it's just like S&M gear everywhere.
No comment.
And a flashlight.
He would have been so prepared if we had a VR dungeon pitch for that game.
That just like comes out of the floor like,
well,
pick your weapon.
All right, so in one wall of my VR dungeon I have, and I gotta look real quick, I have a Lawnmower Man movie poster, a Hackers movie poster, and a Back to the Future movie poster. That's the back wall of my VR dungeon.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
Next question. Anyone else got another question? No?
Anything?
Let's
Bueller?
see if we have any
Bueller?
over here. Gick Med, I don't know what that means, from Wells Sterno. Great design for the set, Eugene, says Stone Drew. And that's all the new ones we got.
Awesome. Okay.
Eugene, are you talking?
I think Eugene is having some sort of VR spastic fit.
It's okay. I mean, it'll be okay. It'll be okay, Eugene.
Do I need to hold his tongue or something?
Your hand is coming out of your chest.
Stop.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be okay.
He's just babbling.
There we go.
He's just babbling.
Oh,
babbling.
okay.
Babble at the crowd, Eugene. Babble at the crowd.
Yeah. Blah, blah,
It's
blah,
okay.
blah, 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 blah.
We need to put like a sick beat underneath him and some Eminem lyrics, and he would look like he would just be like landing
It
this.
does look like he's like really busting some tunes here.
Because I'm a rap god.
Yeah, so in case you didn't figure that out, we can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's see. What time are we at right now?
I have no idea.
7:51. We have about 10 more minutes left. So let's see. Let's while Eugene is figuring out his headset, he might need to log off and log back in. I can't hear anything. But let's see. So let's go back to talking about you a little bit more.
Okay, sure.
So, Ryan, do you do a lot of gaming, or is it mainly all development for you? Or like, what's your favorite types of things to experience with in VR?
For me, I would say it's mostly the porn, but we're not going to talk about that. So,
it's the Fleshlight sponsorship.
Exactly.
I mean, it makes sense.
No, I just really feel like, whenever there's a new technology that comes out, there are two major industries that decide format wars and decide what's successful and what's not, what's mass adoption. And those two things are Disney and porn. Those are the two companies that, the two industries that decide, VHS, Blu-ray, all those things. It's whatever Disney and porn adopt. That's what the rest of the world does. But no, I do play a decent amount of games. I'm a big fan of raw data. Everything that those Servios guys touch is just gold. Their new thing is Sprint Vector or whatever. It's
I haven't played that yet. I've been wanting to try that out.
Mm-hmm.
I play a lot of Onward personally. I play a lot of shooter games and stuff. So I've gotten into those and I stream those on Twitch, and that's one of my favorite things. So
I'm a little behind. I know that there's a lot of stuff that's come out that I haven't had a chance to play yet, and a lot of it's just because I can't decide. It's just a really fun time for people who are just now adopting VR. There's so much really good content. There's a lot of bad stuff as well, but most of the stuff is worth trying. And throw some money at the developers. I mean, really, honestly, there's no reason to just give some cash to the developers, because then they can develop other new fun stuff. So that's the thing. The other thing too is I haven't had as much time to play games in VR because I'm actually trying to write a book.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
is it on VR or is it on like coaching, or is it like?
At first I was going to write something about like the history of VR or something like that, and then it's like. There's going to be plenty of people who are going to do that. I'm like, how do I convey, what VR has been for me? And so I started writing some stories down, and because I got a lot of fun stories just from when I first started in VR. And I realized, well, wait a minute, I can even go back further and go back further. And so what this book has evolved into being is, it's autobiographical, but I'm only telling stories that have to do with technology that has affected my life. So I talk about my first computer, my first cell phone, my first, the first time that somebody called the FBI on me, those kind of things. It's, these are important stories to me. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there, not just in the VR community, but in the tech community at large that will not only appreciate, but maybe even relate to a lot of these stories. So I was planning on trying to finish it by the end of this year. Not going to happen. Shooting for maybe in April 2018, or I'll do what all the companies do. Q1, Q2 release 2018. That way it gives me a 6-month window and I don't have to make any promises.
Right on.
Yeah.
Do you are you going to be going to any like conventions, any VR conventions, YouTube stuff, any meetup groups? If anyone wants to like hang out and say what's up, if they're one of your fans, anywhere?
Not anytime soon. The next events, I always attend SVVR Expo, which is usually in anywhere from March to April to May, depending on when they decide to do it. I usually go to VR LA. I always go to Oculus Connect. Been to GDC a few times, but I don't know if I'm gonna. It just depends, It's wherever the winds take me. That's where I'll end up. But I am heavily involved in the Seattle VR meetup. So if there's any Seattle peeps, I'm always available there.
Well, if we haven't actually met in real life, I'm sure I'm going to meet you pretty soon. So, because
there you
I
go.
know a lot of those things too. So,
good stuff.
Eugene, you are back.
I'm back.
Hey.
Hey, I had a glitch.
Apparently, yeah, I can hear your speakers. Or I can hear someone's speakers.
I don't know.
Oh no! I think I hear this guy over here. We got a question.
My bad, man. I didn't realize.
That's all good, man. What's your name?
Cool.
Where are you from?
I'm from Rockland, and I think my name is Rockland Guy. So, that's California. Let's go back to your list. And I know you guys are trying to wrap up, so you can just say no. The question I really got just out of nowhere, just coming in the last 10 minutes, is let's say you said you were writing a book about technologies that have affected you. Everything you listed was easily adopted. And the VR entry point is, if you don't count Gear and Oculus Go, because Oculus won't support this, at least the Go won't. Adoption's like $1,500. Do you see this really taking off until something drops to like the original iPhone price? Right?
Okay,
right? Make a big deal too.
Okay, so I can actually answer this.
Go for it.
And I'm getting feedback from your.
Yeah, it's a Mac. Sorry. Hold on.
All right, so all right.
That really sums it up. But.
That's a pretty good excuse. We'll let you pass.
So if you just take a step out of the circle really quick, I can answer you.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off my mic too because it's always a problem. Thanks, guys.
Cool, thanks, man.
All right, so new technologies that revolutionize the world, just like VR, has a 10-year adoption rate. We say 10-year adoption rate, but it's anywhere between 7 and 12 years. And you always get people who take a look at these new technologies when they first pop up and go, oh, that will never catch on. That will never, be a part of our society. And you see this with every major iteration of new technology being introduced. I mean, there were people who were saying electricity would never catch on.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical of that.
Yeah. There were people who said the radio, TV, the internet would never catch on because it cost too much. Nobody was taking the time to appreciate it enough. It just wasn't getting out to the people fast enough. And then eventually it caught on because the entry point got lower and cheaper, and everybody was able to get on. Everybody here right now very much is an early adopter. It's still going to be that way. We're in like year 3 of VR becoming part of our lives, which means we have another 5 years for us to hit that mass adoption point.
Yeah.
The other thing too,
you guys can go about it too.
Well, just to touch on the way the question was asked was, oh well, cell phones, computers, those were all easy adoption. Not necessarily. So there were actually some pieces of technology that I was using that wasn't a quick and cheap and easy adoption. The reason they say bleeding edge, is you have to bleed sometimes to get this. You got to give some blood, open up a vein to get this stuff to work sometimes. And I mean, some of the stories of things that I have done are just absurd to most people. Like, why would you do that? We've got blah blah blah. Well, that didn't exist, and a lot of things. I was using pocket PCs before cell phones and smartphones were a thing. I was having attachments and connections and Palm Pilots and PCMCIA cards and back when Wi-Fi didn't have a letter after it. It was just to get a semblance of what a smartphone eventually ended up becoming. So it's not always easy. The pioneers have to go down those hard paths to make it easier for everybody else. And that's us.
I'll say my last bit and then we'll wrap up the show. But I think, piggybacking off of what Eugene said is like, we do have that. We're only in year 3 right now. We're already seeing, virtual reality, getting virtual reality in your house is getting cheaper and cheaper. Oculus Go, the Vive's going down in price. The Oculus is going down in price. You have Windows mixed reality now. Like, it's going to get down there to where it's going to be affordable for anyone. And I think the augmented reality sector as well is going to push the VR sector because everyone's going to have AR, but then everyone's going to want VR as well, and it's not going to be all about AR. They're going to go hand in hand. So I think with Google with AR Core and ARKit with Apple, like we're going to see like mass adoption of VR here in the next year or two, just go nutty, and that's my prediction at least.
So before we end the show, thank you for everybody who answered questions, but we are running out of time. You guys want to check the board?
Yeah, let's check it one more time. We got a couple more.
Oh, good.
Woo! Hi, see ya, hello, shiz, count. Hey, VR is so hard to get into. If you ignore these products that make VR easy to get into,
Yeah.
Eric Newman, you're awesome. The original Macs were $2,000 or $5,000, and it took years for them to get popular. It's called early adopters and innovators. You were absolutely right, Speedy 0114.
The original Macs, the Macs now are that much, so not a whole lot's changed.
yeah, right.
So anyway, with that, we are going to close out the show. Topher, where can they find you?
They can find me at Twitter at toe_fur and on Twitch at twitch.tv/VR__nation.
Reverend Kyle, where can the people find you?
Easiest thing to do is to go to revvrstudios.com. That's where my blog and podcast are hosted. Also, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, all under Reverend KJR.
And by the way, if you want, you can actually find an episode where I was on his podcast.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you'd like to follow me or re-see the stream, it is youtube.com CaponDesign TV. Thank you so much for everybody joining us tonight.
Thank you so
much. You
much,
guys are amazing. And we will be back next week with the amazing Billy the Fridge. I'm really excited for that. Woo! We're going to see if we can get a rap battle or something going in.
Oh, it's happening. It's definitely happening.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you guys later.
See ya.
Glitched.
All right.
Who did the applause thingy?
So good. I really enjoyed that show.
Hey guys, don't leave. We're gonna come back out and mingle here in a minute. So if you guys want to hang out, I'll. Go talk to Eugene and Rev, and I will be back out in a minute, guys. We'll be back here in a second, okay?